It was Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. Mostly Superheroes returns with another awesome interview. You all have noticed by now that we're talking to all sorts of fun people. Gotta shout out Julie Lally from Insight Rocks, helping us out, setting us up with so many fun interviews. And she's not done yet. Local legend here in St. Louis, working with all sorts of fun folks. You all have been able to enjoy some recent interviews, and we have even more coming up, expanding the realm of Mostly Superheroes. We're super excited about it, and we're having a lot of fun. This week, Scotty Scoop joins us after his big hiatus to talk one of his favorite fandoms, Dungeons and Dragons. I want to set the record straight right now. This episode is for non-Dungeons and Dragons fans and Dungeons and Dragons mega fans alike. We are talking to everybody. If you've been curious about the game, you've heard about it over time, this is for you. If you're a diehard, this is definitely for you. A great interview with St. Louis folks, Martin Casas of Apotheosis Comics here in St. Louis area, as well as Sam the DM. That's Sam the Dungeon Master. Hearing all about their story, how they got connected, and the big event they have coming up at City Winery, STL. Get ready for all things Dungeons and Dragons, and stick with us. We have a few more big episodes before the end of the year. Enjoy the show. Oh, one more thing. There are a few more F-bombs in this one than you're probably used to, but they're all from Nerdy Passion. Have fun. We are back in the studio. Welcome to Mostly Superheroes. So many fun people lately. I think I said 4 or 5 episodes ago. Scotty Scoop. First of all, welcome back to the studio.
It's been a few.
It has been more than a few. He has been missing. He was at Disney. He just got back, and he's got a whole bunch to catch us up on, but it's not time for that, so I don't really want to hear about that right now.
I'll stow it.
You stow it until the next episode, but how you been? Welcome back, Scotty.
I'm great.
Are you ready for the D&D episode?
I am so ready.
Dungeons and Dragons has made its way to Mostly Superheroes, and we're here with 2 amazing guests. You all are so lucky to meet some new folks. Maybe you've heard of them before. Let's just go around the table and keep it moving. This guy, St. Louis, Missouri, Apotheosis Comics, a shop that I've been to. You have been here for, you'll have to confirm how many years, because I've known about you guys for so long. Martin Casas, welcome to Mostly Superheroes.
Hello.
Ow, 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 ow.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm here to support always.
You're with the live studio audience.
Oh, indeed. Yeah.
Martin, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
How are you?
Great.
And welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, I long-time listener, first-time guest. This is great.
That's how it starts.
Yeah, this is a great studio. You guys have done a great job. Like the layout's cool. The vibe is neat in here. This is like a real Hollywood-looking studio, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I really appreciate
it's a
that.
very safe space for nerds. There's a
Yes.
lot of cords and tech coming out from the ceiling, so it's like super official. This puts my rig to absolute shame.
It's
yes,
for
and
sure.
and folks, that if you're hearing a fourth voice, that's right. It's Sam the Dungeon Master, Sam the DM. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Oh, you're too much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, please be quiet. Yeah.
Welcome, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for the kind words. A fellow nerd, you're enjoying the space. There's plenty here to keep your eye. Not enough D&D in here, right?
Well, you could always use more D&D. I think, thankfully, Scotty here's got plenty of gear, just top to bottom. I was gonna say I have that exact same trucker cap, and
Nice.
it looks good on you, and it looks good on me too. I'm not gonna try to say who wore it better.
Well worn.
It is. Yes, it's very well worn. Baldur's Gate shirt is awesome. I'm guessing you've I
actually got a compliment on this coming out from the voting booth.
Hell
today.
yeah.
And always vote. Way to go, Scott.
Yeah, every time, man.
every time.
There was one thing on my ballot. I made sure I was there.
It was
There
like
you
a local election, something important for your school.
Local,
You had to be
it's
there.
funding for my school district that my kids go to. Very important.
Scotty's a dad. Are either of you guys parents?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
What are you working
13-year-old
with?
girl.
13-year-old girl. Right.
Yeah. How about you? What you got?
I have a 26-year-old daughter.
Excuse me. I thought you said 26.
26. I started a little early.
Wow.
There you go.
Wait, I'm sorry. How old are you?
I am 43. So
Okay.
you do the math on that.
Yeah.
A 15-year-old daughter, a 13-year-old daughter, and a 10-year-old daughter.
So
Oh,
you're raising the
I-
Partridge Family. Just
Man,
You know,
once a month I go into my safe room in the basement. I lock the door.
you start
couple
breaking
of- yep,
stuff. Or
Couple of days,
yeah.
I come out. Looks like a tornado's gone through the house.
there you go.
Having daughters is great though, isn't it?
It is so great.
I have 4 brothers, 1 sister, and growing up, my sister was such a bitch. But it's because I realized that she was living with 5 boys.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's
And
not a good place
yeah,
to be.
so it was kind of rough for her, but like she's an amazing mom. She has 3 wonderful boys, and so I have only nephews. Except the only well that's not true. Now I have 2 nieces until my daughter's born. But all my brothers have had all boys. My sister had all boys. So we didn't even think of a girl name for our kid. Like we had no girl name. And then when we found out it was a girl, like, holy shit.
What do
Is
I
every
do?
family gathering just like a push-up contest? What the fuck is going on with your DNA, man?
It's wild. No, it's
What's
wild.
the deal?
Well, they're all like on
It
the
sounds
East
like
Coast.
a wizard's
and
curse.
It's hard
Like
to
it just
maybe,
boys,
yeah.
only boys.
Well, Martin, thanks for telling us about some of your personal life. I
Sure.
want to get into some details about. I mean, we're on mostly superheroes right now.
Yeah.
You run Apotheosis Comics.
Yes.
What's going on with Apotheosis? Tell us, how long have you been in St. Louis as Apotheosis?
So 6 years. We
Okay.
started in 2017, and when I first started Apotheosis, what I wanted to do was do all the things I like when I have comics. So I like to drink beer, I like to read comics, I like to listen to music. That's like my vibe when I listen to comics. And my favorite thing to do is to talk to other people about it, like just kind of digging deep on the history. So I built the whole store around that concept of like we need a place where people can come and hang out, because when you go to a comic book store, you buy your stuff, you talk to the register guy for a little bit, and you get out. And
Yeah.
that's not a lot of action going on. So we wanted something that was very event heavy, that would bring people into the bar to hang out and just get to know them. And then we started doing like a ton of events. We started doing D&D stuff. We started doing, we did open mics, art classes, slime making classes, Christmas stuff, you name it, pancake parties with Sam, Dan the Pancake Man. So we just kind of had an approach of like throw everything at the wall to see what would stick. And, we are the only comic book store bar in Missouri. And I think actually we're now one of only 2 in the country.
And number 1 comic shop in St. Louis. In
4
the RFT
years in a
poll,
row.
4 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow, is this your hype man?
Yeah.
Did you bring a
He knows
hype
the
man to
story.
the pod?
I've done a little work at the shop.
Yeah.
I'm familiar.
Hey, Scott, take notes on what's going on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was auditioning over here. I'll be your P. Diddy. Let's go.
That's right. We need a little bit of that
Yeah.
in our lives. Amazing. Yeah, you've had tons of different types of events.
Yeah.
And don't worry, D&D fans. Today's the day. We're going to talk all about D&D.
Well-
But what else is going on at Apotheosis nowadays that people need to know about?
Well, actually, I was just kind of to say about the D&D stuff is that it kind of really tells you how much the nerd industry is changing over the past couple of years. Because, when I was in high school, like D&D people, like I was a closeted comic book. I literally had my comics in the back of my closet. No
Mhm.
one knew
Preach, brother.
what they were. I didn't
Mhm.
tell anyone about it. The most nerve-wracking day of my life was when I wore a Superman shirt to school, and I was like, what are people going to think when I wear this? But I looked down on D&D people because they're like, those are real fucking
Yeah.
nerds, man.
That's
Real
really
nerd.
That's
nerdy.
really nerd.
Every nerd draws that line with
Oh, yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
Even nowadays, it's like, well, I'll play Dungeons and Dragons, but I'm not going to LARP. And then you realize you don't want to LARP because you'll love it and you won't ever stop
Right.
doing
Yes.
it again. It's like,
Then
I
one
like
day
this.
you wake up, you're throwing marshmallows
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
swinging a foam sword.
yeah, you're boffing everyone to death. It's that's kind of autobiographical because I drew that line for myself. There's always that thing where like you are into Magic the Gathering, but you're not into Yu-Gi-Oh, or you're into comic books, but only into the literary fiction and not
Yeah.
the cape and tight stuff. And everyone draws these like weird lines. And yeah, I have been playing D&D for like 20 years, and I never let anyone know about it.
Yeah.
Period. That was something you did in a basement because you wanted to hide it from people.
Yeah.
And now there's like millionaire D&D celebrities, and it's crazy to see how it's hit the market and the culture and the way it has these past couple of years.
Well, that was the thing so I had no intention of doing D&D or Magic of the Sword because I didn't know it. And like,
Okay.
I have this kind of idea, the philosophy that I don't want to sell anything I don't know.
Right, and if I don't know it well enough, don't embark on it, and you might end up offending like a group of people if you like throw a D&D night and it's not organized.
I don't know if you've met nerds; they're very hard to offend.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
maybe offend's the wrong word.
It's not an easy thing to do to offend
I don't
a
know.
nerd. By
Have you
getting
ever met
some
any Star Wars fans?
niche piece
yeah.
of their?
I guess I just meant internet nerds.
That's like Starfleet, right? Star
Yeah.
Wars is like with Kirk.
Yeah,
That's
the
the one.
holodeck.
Well, what was the crazy thing about, so when we first started doing D&D in the store, the people who showed up, it was like yoga moms, cops, lawyers, doctors, like guys like you, like it was all over the map. It wasn't what I expected at all. And then as we started going, like, I think you did a D&D for a guy's wedding party, right?
Oh yeah. I started doing games for pay as a professional dungeon master at Apotheosis Comics. Martin hit me up to run an event there for kids, and after a small, just minor panic attack, I got it done. And
I don't remember that.
It was my hands were shaking. That's when you take something that you do with your close friends in the privacy of your home, and then you're like, hey, run a game for strangers' children. It is a terrifying prospect, especially if you've never done it before. But that kind of was thrown in the deep end, and it went very well. And since then I've been running games at the shop, or games for folks in private residences, for venues and events. And people will hire me to run a game for their bachelor party. That's been like 2 different sessions, for birthday parties, for just get-togethers. I had somebody hired me to run a game for them the day after their wedding. They had a brunch with all of the wedding party. We're talking 20 people, and they all wanted to play D&D together, meaning at the same table, which means I ran a D&D game for 20 people at the same time
For 30 hours.
It probably felt like it. I'm sure.
Well,
How long actually? Yeah.
It was like 2.5, 3 hours. It was it's to this day one of the best sessions I've ever ran, hands down. Everyone was on board. Like, there's a certain magic you get into when you're in the pocket as a dungeon master and you're describing a scene, and you can see it affecting the people around you, and seeing that happen with like 10 people winged out on either side of you looking around the cave you've just described. It's pretty awesome. Everyone had a great time. We had to work out some shit. Like, the initiative order is everyone goes after the person next to them, so we had to streamline some stuff. But yeah, no, they were great.
Well, you guys are great. I don't like you guys. All my questions, I don't even have to ask them. You guys are going. You are unprompted, and you're going down the journey. So now we're gonna
both like to talk about ourselves, I think, a little bit.
We'll do it a little bit more for the folks listening, so they have the context about who you guys are and where you're speaking from. Sam, the DM. All right, we heard from Martin and kind of like where the D&D stuff started, kind of with Apotheosis.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how becoming Sam the DM actually started, and the story just kind of like, was it this encounter with Apotheosis, and what are you doing nowadays? You kind of teased it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how it started. Was running games at Apotheosis. I was running games for kids every other Sunday, which was a lovely chaotic test of my abilities. But I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since I was like 14 years old, so going on 20 years or so. I've been playing this game, and discovering it as a kid was something that saved me from a lot of personal strife, depression, all that stuff. Being able to step outside myself and explore a fantasy realm where I have like power and I can affect the world around me, and I can make all these really impactful choices and decisions, was really therapeutic in a lot of important ways. And carrying that into my adulthood, I've got a group that I've been playing with on Monday nights for 20 years or so. So we started making a podcast, an actual play podcast called Challenge Rating 0, available wherever you find podcasts. We started making that, and then Martin hit me up to start running games at the shop, and then I think literally one night for a Drinks and Dragons event, where folks can come in, buy a beer, play a one-shot. Someone at my table literally just yelped out, like, "Can I rent you?" Which was, a little weird.
Non-sexually.
Yeah, the phrasing wasn't crazy about the phrasing, but I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess you can. And so, yeah, I just started sort of building up this small business, samthedm.com. And so, yeah, I am, as far as I'm aware, and I don't want to talk myself up too much, but as far as I'm aware, the only professional dungeon master operating in St. Louis. It's not a huge market, obviously. We're not as big as, Chicago or New York, but there is a dedicated community of nerds in this town that has been playing D&D or wants to play D&D. That's a big part of my market is people that want to get into it. And if you don't want to read all the rule books, if you don't want to, equip yourself with all of the potentially incredibly expensive gear, you just email me and I show up and run a game for you and I bring everything you need to play.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my focus is being an all-in-one professional dungeon master, delivery service. I show up to your house, to your venue. I've gone to bars, like, private rented out rooms and bars and restaurants. And now, public venues, going into like live shows and stuff, which has been a whirlwind all itself. But yeah, I'm just trying to turn my hobby into a lucrative side hustle, as we're all forced to do in these unholy days of late stage capitalism. And luckily, there's proved to be a market for it, which has been nice.
Yeah, the thing I'll say about Sam that's really great is that, I think people kind of come at D&D as like it's extremely complicated and it's hard to get into, and there's a lot of things to learn. But what's great about Sam, and maybe just D&D in general, but I'm going to give you the credit for it,
Appreciate it,
is that once you've got the basic dynamics of rolling the dice, chance, and then you have to learn something, and you have an experienced DM like Sam, they will tell you how to play, and they encourage you to get down and get as dirty as possible and have some fun with it. And then, you get a guy like me who doesn't really know, and then, because I don't know if you remember this or not, but we did a campaign, and then there was some kind of fucking thing that I got, and then it could control people's minds, and I was like, well, let's control people's minds and take it over. And then one of the other guy at the table was like, well, you don't go evil in D&D, and I'm like, why not?
right?
Yeah.
And he's like, but then I got fucked up. I got really fucked up.
Well, this is great. Well, this is
Yeah.
great, and thanks for sharing. I mean, Martin and I are the ones, right, that we didn't know it.
Yeah, no.
This guy over here, Scotty, what questions you got so far? Like, because what I want to do is, I want to hear from you guys. We got a big event coming up. At our friends at the City Winery.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are doing something big, and I just want
Bubbles and Bards, baby.
Bubbles and Bards, and I
Mhm.
want to build to this. We can
Yeah.
we can plug it as we go.
Sure.
Saturday, November 18th. Like, we're gonna talk about this big event you got coming up.
Yes.
Scotty's Scoop is going. Are you going with Shanna, your wife?
Yeah.
Okay. If
Hell
not,
yeah.
let me know if she doesn't want to go, and like I'd go, because now I'm like after
I
all.
think I'll go too. Yeah, we'll close the store for the day. Screw it.
What questions you got? Like, what do you?
You know what? Before we get into that, if I may, and I
Please.
hate to do this, if I may,
Please.
I would like to grill you, sir.
This is
'cause
better.
You,
Please.
'cause you got
Yes.
the gear, you got the experience.
Yes.
How long have you been playing Dungeons and Dragons, if I may?
So my first game I remember I don't remember which version it was.
Sure.
But this was probably around 92,
Okay.
93.
So that'd be like AD&D. It was a little bit
I
before
was
third edition
12,
came out.
12, 13,
Mhm.
just a kid in the neighborhood.
Sure.
Said, "Hey, we're doing this thing. You want to come down the street?" And I was like, "Yeah, great."
Hell yeah.
Played it for I want to say maybe a couple weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and then that kid moved away, and then that part of me died.
Heartbreak. Yeah.
And then
It's like watching
around
the magic leave your neighborhood.
Yes.
It's like watching E.T. leave on that spaceship.
For
It's like,
real.
no, that's
great.
the magic.
I've never
And-
heard this.
and then, for a long, long, long time, I was D&D free.
Mm.
And just kind of watching from the sidelines, as
Sure.
a lot of nerds do. And then 2019 rolled around,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the people in my family, my ex family,
Sure.
they were like, "Hey man, we're playing. Are you interested?" And I was like,
That's great.
"Indeed I am."
Mm-hmm.
And we went there, and I've been playing in this group for since 2019.
Hell yeah.
January 2019.
What are you playing or DMing?
I am playing.
What's your character?
My name is Canum Halfbeard.
Okay.
I am a barbarian dwarf.
Of course you're a dwarf. Your name's Halfbeard.
That's right.
That's incredible.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is it based on? Do you think you have a half beard that looks like a full beard? to me?
It's half of.
I was like, that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
My character was traveling through the mountains with his
Okay.
family as a child,
Yes.
where my parents were, of course, a trope, were murdered
Sure,
by
absolutely.
orcs.
Mhm.
My face is horribly scarred on one side.
Oh, that's so good.
So
You
I
can't grow
only-
a beard on
I
half of your
only
face.
have half of a beard
That's really good
on half
man.
of my face.
Oh, that's
really
great.
good.
Yes. I was taken in by some roaming barbarian tribe,
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
and
Raises one of their own.
raises
That's
one
an
of their
excellent backstory. That's something I want to highlight because the look on your face right now as he's telling you that's a whole angle of this man's personality you knew nothing about, right?
Nothing.
The thing when
Yeah.
I want to get all like up my own ass about D&D, the beautiful thing about this game is that it helps people find the hero within them.
own.
right?
Absolutely.
You found this character, and that for anyone, just real quick, for anyone that doesn't know what D&D is,
Here we go.
it's a tabletop role-playing game, which means it's a board game with storytelling elements. You have a piece, you move around a board, you beat up bad guys, you get treasure, but also you are weaving a narrative. The Dungeon Master guides you through an adventure that they've written, and you as a character, you have a piece of paper with all your stats on it to tell you how strong and fast and smart you are. You try to survive the narrative, which usually involves like kicking ass and taking names and making gold. But
solving mysteries.
Like real life.
Mhm. Mhm.
absolutely, yeah, just
Yeah.
like real life. But the thing is like the transformation that comes over people, you in real life can't get a battle axe and cut an orc in half. There'd be
it's
some legal issues
a little
not-
bit.
for
not
one thing.
I'd
out of
but-
support.
season. Yeah.
But if with Dungeons and Dragons, you can sit down at your friend's coffee table and embody an adventurer, right? You are whisked away. You're the protagonist of a fantasy novel that you're helping to write,
Yes.
and that's the magic and the beauty of the whole fucking thing.
Absolutely.
That's
the
going to be
stuff
an
right
awesome 2-minute clip I put on
Ye-
Instagram.
Yeah. That's actually
Video.
yeah, that's actually a good segue because I was one of my favorite moments of when we were playing D&D in the store was we did these things called, we still do it to this day, learn how to play D&D. And so we I think Sam may have been running this one, but it was one of our early classes. And so I just started playing, my daughter was there. And so there was a group of like boys on one side and girls on the other side. And the quest was we had to go to a castle to find something, and on the way there, like, so the boys and girls that kind of go out and they're all one squad, and there's an injured orc or thing in the field, and the boys are like, let's kill it, and the girls go, well, let's ask them, and then so the guy rolls, it's like a 5 and doesn't go anywhere, thank God. And then the girl's like, well, let's ask them if they're okay. And then like, sure enough, the guy was like, hey, I have a map to this
Yeah.
castle. And then so they get to the castle, and these idiot boys took 3 to 4 turns trying to break down a door, of which Sam had mentioned multiple times that it was magically guarded and could not be broken, but they were trying as hard as they could to break the door down.
Yeah.
The girls had already gone to the top of the castle, found the map, gotten out of the castle, were on the way back, and and I was like, boys, you're making us look bad. You're not helping the cause. But there is like this really funny way of how girls and I guess men and women play. It's really kind of a cool little social dynamic.
Yeah.
You see it happen.
And that kind of dynamism is what makes Dungeons and Dragons so entertaining and so engaging. When you play, any fantasy video game, if you're playing Zelda, there's places on the map you can't go. There's places you can't reach. There's things you can't do. In Dungeons and Dragons, you can do literally whatever you want. Now, you are limited, of course, by social pressures. You want to keep everything in good taste and not bum out or gross out or freak out everyone around you. But you can say my character scratches their butt or my character does jumping jacks, and no one can say no. And that's part of the thing is like, engaging the story in one of a million different ways in whatever way you see fit. And seeing how different groups, I've had the opportunity to, because of this, small business I'm trying to build up, I've run literally hundreds of one shots all over the city, at the shop, at people's houses, all over the place. And, when you're doing that many reps, I have set one-shot adventures that I've written that I'll run several times for different groups of people, because they don't, a new group doesn't know what's around the next corner. And seeing how differently different people handle the same quest is so fascinating.
Right.
we did an event at Apotheosis years ago where we had so many people and we needed 3 dungeon masters. So all in one room, 3 dungeon masters, 3 full tables. All 3 of us are running the same adventure. We spent an hour after the event was over back at my place just, decompressing and geeking out over how different all 3 of our tables handle the same thing. It's like, oh, you got out of the corn maze in 5 minutes. We stayed there for like an hour and 15. Like, you guys went back to town. We never made it to the dungeon. Like all these different, and that's part of the, if you'll excuse the term, the magic of D&D.
Well, this is where I want to know. This is where I want you to level set it. I might help you even be navigating like your market research right now. What percentage of like the people that you're running these events for are like people like Scotty, where like they're all pros and like they just want a dungeon master versus like it's just like a group of newbies? And then is it like a group where it's like, well, you get 50-50, you got some people in there like me and Scotty would maybe go together to an event, right?
It is a healthy mix. I found that there are some, like, the thing about new players is that there's a lot of hurdles to get over. So you just hire me and I show up with everything you need to play and you're good. You're golden.
And there's a lot of guys that don't realize it's like a multi-week commitment.
It can be for sure.
So
well, Scotty taught me about campaigns.
Oh yeah.
And can you guys talk about campaigns? Like what? Like explain campaigns to like someone in 20 seconds.
Campaign versus one shot.
Yeah.
So,
I could explain that.
But
I don't want to. I don't want to.
Maybe we should let the DM.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when I have some comics questions.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, there's a lot of ways to play this game. The thing about D&D that sets it apart from Monopoly or Clue is that it's episodic. So you're weaving a narrative with the dungeon master and the players. So I say, you're in the kingdom of Esper. There's a magic jewel in a cave. You have to go get the jewel, and then you go get the jewel and you bring it back and you get your reward. Well, what happens after that? Where do you go to sleep that night? Where do you get your next job? Who gives you that job? What are your parents up to? Do you have parents? And so you can answer these questions and build out a narrative that becomes like a fantasy novel, because every week you're playing the same story. You're playing the next episode of the same story. So
let's get real basic. And you have a board in front of you.
Sometimes, yeah.
With dice? That's how you track movement amongst the group, like in turns.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
When you are that's the board game element. When you're getting into fights and exploring dungeons, you'll have a map with a grid, and you'll move your pieces around to navigate spaces and maneuver around enemies and take them down. But everything that's not a fight, every moment, every scene that's not like combat, you just kind of like,
theater of the mind.
Yeah, you improvise. You're all making it up in your heads, and you're sort of weaving this tapestry together.
Improv.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Improv's a huge part of how I approach the game in general, because as the dungeon master, I have no idea what the players are going to do. As you can attest to, the players can do, as I said before, whatever they want, and some players really delight in confusing or frustrating or finding a way around the shit their dungeon master's doing, because that's all part of it. But yeah, so there's one shots where you play one singular enclosed narrative adventure, usually over the span of a couple hours. And that's most of my gigs.
Most of your gigs are that, or one shots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Long form campaigns are like the things I do for my podcast, where every week, every session, you're continuing the same narrative. And some campaigns can run for years, can run for decades. If you don't want to retire your characters.
Did I tell you about that guy, the wizard, who came into our store?
No.
So when we first
a wizard came into your store?
Yes.
How'd you not tell us about this?
So the first game we did, this dude walks in and he's like maybe 600 years old, and he's got long beard, smoking cigarettes in my fucking store. But okay. And he's got a walking cane, and he's got this huge binder. And he's like, "Hey, you guys playing D&D tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, we are." He's like, "So, would you know what version they're playing?" I go, "The latest one, I assume." I don't. And he goes, "Is anyone playing not version 1? What's it called?"
2.
No. What's the first one called?
Just version
Advanced D&D.
Yeah. Playing number 1, and I was like, maybe.
No.
Since the 70s.
No.
This guy's been playing.
Sorry,
the same
Gary
campaign.
Gygax
Sure,
died.
yeah.
But this guy's still playing.
Well,
Yeah,
he
for
had this old ass folder that
And
he
he
popped
can.
open.
And he can.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
can continue to play.
Absolutely,
Well,
yeah.
how does that work though? Because how does he have his character that brings into your story?
Here's the thing. He can't. Shouldn't be able to.
A line wizard.
Yeah, you can I have a binder at home that has the character sheets for all the characters I've played in the various campaigns that I've been blessed to play over my lifetime. They usually run with my group of friends like 2 or 3 years long. And those characters are, formalized on a sheet, and I have all their stats. I can't take a level 20 character, which is very, very high level, to just some comic book shop and be like, I'm going to play this. You can't really do that.
No.
Okay.
You're gonna be OP.
Yeah.
What's OP?
Overpowered.
Okay.
That
Other people's
jinx.
You're gonna be you're gonna be Superman at the playground.
Yeah, it's so that's the thing is like every group, every table's different. There are some organizations where you can take your character from table to group to group, but for the most part you are making a narrative with a group of people. That character exists in that narrative with that group, and if you go to a different table with different people, you make a different character or build one from scratch. So yeah, that's wild that it'd be like, I have a character from 1979 and I'd like to put her in the middle of this random game at a comic store. That is nuts.
Well, and this is kind of where I want to land on. This is where your time to shine, Sky Scoop. If you got any questions, D&D, like this is the time. Like, what is the status of D&D in 2023? You started 20 years ago. Now you're doing live events with folks like Apotheosis Comics, bachelor party, bachelorette parties, birthdays. We're leading up to an event now, a live brunch, like with comedy improv, right?
Yep.
So what's going on? What is
fucking
what is
booming.
going on with D&D? Like, I want you to react a little bit and talk a little
Blowing
bit.
up.
So
got,
yeah,
Scott?
so Dungeons and Dragons has exploded
Mhm.
in the last, I would say, 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm. Definitely because of the pandemic. I mean,
The pandemic,
The movie, Chris Pine.
I loved it.
Live reactions.
oh,
Live
yeah.
reactions.
oh, the
That's
D&D guys didn't like it? Oh.
No.
Live
That-
reactions.
The,
Same to you.
the movie was great.
The movie was great.
I love the movie. It's not the reason. That's a symptom, not a cause.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Oh,
You're
yeah, no, yeah, that's yes.
you're
All right,
probably looking at Critical Role
Yeah.
yeah.
as being one of
Mhm.
the sparks. for
Stranger Things is
Stranger
what really blew it up for
Things,
everybody.
yes,
As
of
far as making
course.
D&D a household name, I would have kids come into the comic shop and be like, I want to name my character 11 and I want to fight
Right.
the Demogorgon.
Yeah.
And then I have to look them in their little 8-year-old eyes and be like, listen, little kid,
No.
you don't know what the Demogorgon is and what it would do to you.
It would eat you alive.
You don't want me to put the Demogorgon on this table right now because then you'd see it and your mind would break.
Thanks,
Anyway, sorry.
thanks again, Stranger Things, because that's
Yeah.
how I discovered the Midnight.
Yeah.
Great
There you
band.
go.
All right.
Um,
So D&D's, it's
so-
popular. It's booming. It's going big.
Yeah, it's going big. You said we were talking outside. You play on your actual play podcast,
Mhm.
which was
Challenge rating 0.
Challenge rating
available
0.
on all podcasts.
Everyone check that out.
that you play 3.5.
Yes, there are
Um,
several editions of this game.
Is that you?
I think so. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Hello.
Keep going. No, you're
Okay.
good. It was just
Yeah,
fun.
go ahead. You
I have
you
old
said you play
ears.
3.5.
Yes,
We're currently at 5e.
Version 5e.
version
of the game?
5e.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And what does
Uh,
the E mean?
5th edition.
edition.
A
Fifth
fucking
edition.
course.
So
God
the
damn
thing,
it.
it's okay.
And when
Hey,
people
it's
get
okay.
this, when they get version 5e, is it like a physical and digital type of product they're buying from?
there's
that's what they're doing now. They're
there are
moving way
so
more
many
into the
books.
digital realm. Yeah.
I
so-
think it was like 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
They launched 5e.
Mm-hmm.
And, I would say probably besides the 3, Dungeon Master's Guide, Monster,
core rule
yeah,
books.
the 3 core rule books, you're probably getting 3 books a year.
Yeah, they're really cranking it out.
Um,
We're getting to the point of bloat at this point a little bit. They're running out of niches.
so I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
Why 3.5?
Okay. Well, that's the easiest question you could possibly ask me. It's because it's what I grew up playing.
Yes.
You're like the wizard.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the uninitiated, Dungeons and Dragons is a board game, but to play it you need rule books, very large, heavy, hardcover rule books.
Oh my
and,
gosh. See, like whenever you say that to a new person, they're like, this is going to be too much.
for sure,
Yeah,
absolutely.
As a
yeah.
player,
Absolutely.
Mhm.
you do not need these books.
What
Here we go.
what I always
Mhm.
say is I know all the rules, so you don't have to know any of them. SamTheDM.com.
That's your whole thing.
Yep. But so they've made several editions of this game with sometimes wildly different rule sets. The first edition came out in the 70s. The Gary Gygax.
72.
Yep.
Whoa.
Gary Gygax and David Arneson made in Geneva, Wisconsin. Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's the first edition. They came out with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Then in like 2000, they came out with like the third edition, which is what I played. That's when I started playing. It was when I was 14, 15 years old playing third edition. And so me and my friends have watched as new versions of our beloved game have come out, and we've just stuck with what we knew because, another thing is like there's a real cost sink with this hobby. If you want to get really, really into it, you have to buy rule books, you have to buy supplemental rule books, you have to buy dice, you have to buy gear, and it's specific to the edition. So on Challenge Rating 0, we played third edition because that's what we grew up playing, and we know all the rules by heart. Really. But I will say, as far as the events I run, that's all 5th edition, the latest stuff, and 5th edition is the easiest version of this game to play. It's the most inviting to outsiders and new players. Like, if you've never gotten into it, like, honestly, now's the time. It's really heavily focused on customization and role play and leaving a lot of open space without a bunch of really nitpicky rules to let you just explore the narrative. So yeah, when I'm doing one shots or doing this live event, we're using 5th edition because that's what everyone's on. But yeah, we're old curmudgeons, so we just stick with what we know.
Let's talk to the D&D fans, the hardcore ones, for a minute. So where do you guys all like congregate? Like, is it just whenever you're playing with your friends? Is it what are the digital social channels or like online channels that you guys meet at? Physical too, obviously, right? Like, I love the hybrid nowadays.
Yeah. Physically, most people when they're playing D&D, they'll go to a comic book shop like Apotheosis, which
game rooms.
You guys are doing D&D nights on Thursdays now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How's that work? How's the Thursday night D&D night work?
Well, it's actually pretty great because we got a guy who's in the neighborhood and he built this awesome like computer monitor that's the map. So you can put it on there and it interacts with the players, and he's a bit of a gearhead.
Change the maps and move things around. That's great.
It's pretty cool.
That's the dream.
It
right?
is the dream.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
What's the dream?
The flat screen map.
Table. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Map
It's like a
table.
visual.
Yeah, you
You want to have the Hunger Games map. You want to see everything.
for sure. Yeah,
We may be
Or
doing
Westworld.
if we can. The problem we had is that after the pandemic, we had that second floor, and then we weren't able to get our D&D game back, and we really were trying to be as careful as possible with COVID, and so some of the things we just didn't bring back in full force. We may be thinking about building the D&D stuff up because there has been a need for it.
There's a
and
hunger.
yeah, there's a hunger for it, and I just didn't know how to fill it. And if we could find somebody or a group of people to like schedule the events to make sure we have like a badass like video wall, like we've got, it would be great to do.
We need some production.
We need some production.
But this is leading up to the City Winery.
Yes.
You guys want to get into it? Is that all right? Like, is it too early? Like,
no, that's fine.
Like,
by me.
Let's circle back around to more D&D stuff as it comes out. Why don't you talk to us?
Well, actually, I have a question about
Go ahead.
5e.
I'm holding it. It's in my back pocket. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Is there going to be a 6e?
Okay, so
It's going to be very sexy.
Oh,
there is
There's a button. Push the button.
There is the button.
yeah.
there is not going to be a 6e. There is D&D 1 is what is coming.
What is
Okay,
so tell us.
You know Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Yes.
Speak
this
my
is
language.
a reset.
Imagine doing that with Dungeons and Dragons. They're just, instead of there's a new edition and a new edition, they are collapsing the multiverse into one universal rule
Yes.
set.
The new
that they will
52.
utilize for
What's
that
it
they will
called?
utilize
What's it
for
called
everything.
again?
D&D 1.
So you couldn't do that before? Like once 4e was gone, like the universe was over.
Well, once 4th edition is done, they come out with new rule books for a different edition of the game. So like me and my friends on our podcast, we still play 3rd edition. Those rule books are there, but they're
They
not
will
printing
never go
any
away.
new shit for them.
Okay.
They're not making any new stuff. And so, yeah, now 5th edition has been around for 5, 6, 7 years.
No, since like 2008.
Oh, damn,
So you're
for real?
yeah.
Shit. Oh, God.
15
How
years.
old am I? Where am I?
And so this is coming in 2024. I'm looking live at an article in dicebreaker.com.
There you go.
We got
Wow.
Henry St. Lager over there. So this is coming in 2024. What are the? It's like a whole list of the changes.
It's an overhaul.
Yeah, so they're once again, shifting priorities and changing, kind of paradigms.
Let's just leave the non D&D fans in the dust. What are they changing? Like for you D&D fans that are like, well, what are they upgrading?
I mean, honestly,
it kind of looks like Fortnite. Sounds like Fortnite.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, that's the thing with D&D
Inspired.
coming into the mainstream like this, like
Mhm.
updates, patches. One of the crazy things and the stuff that drives this kind of shift in the market is there has never been more direct contact between the player base and the designers of the game with social media. When I was playing this game in 2000, if we didn't know how a rule worked, fuck you. That's it. Like you just figure it out.
I remember.
But now there's but
every game.
Yeah, for sure. But now if you are reading the player's handbook and you don't know how to apply a rule, you can tweet at Jeremy Crawford, the lead game designer of Dungeons and Dragons, and he will not only answer you. The D&D Beyond website has compiled his answers to these niche questions into a tome that you can reference called Sage Advice. So there has never been more interplay between the players and the producers of this game.
Yeah.
And so that generates like incredibly quick changes in real time because they're getting feedback immediately. We're talking about this outside. The fucking
the OGL.
The OGL debacle that we got into.
OGL?
OGL.
So
what's that?
That's the original game license.
Open game license.
Open game license. And basically utilizing this open game license, you or myself could create our own Dungeons and Dragons content and use their rule set and their characters.
Open source.
It's an open source thing. Well, beginning of this year, Wizards of the Coast tried to change that. They tried to pull it back and say, hey, we're doing a new OGL 2.0, and anyone who does this is going to kind of owe us money.
Yeah, it's a monetization tool now.
And
welcome to America. Welcome back to America.
The community has did a backlash of which you have never seen.
React. Shop.
React.
Everything. Every single player of this game, when it basically Wizards of the Coast, which is owned by Hasbro, so it's all just big corporate shit anyway.
Yes.
But they looked at the money being made on Twitch, with Twitch streamers playing D&D, with
Critical
podcasts,
Role, and Dimension 20, and all kinds of stuff.
There's all these people making podcasts, YouTube videos, Twitch streams of them playing D&D, and they're making content and they're monetizing it.
And we're tired of it.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not getting our cut.
Yeah, and so they decided, like, hey, you have to pay to use our shit and the entire
our rules, our characters, and everything.
Not to mention the biggest thing was like publishing. There are 8 million third-party publishers out there in the world that are like, we wrote an adventure. So one of the things when you're playing D&D, for those that don't know, a dungeon master can make up an adventure whole cloth all on his own, which is what I do a lot. Or
unless it's the writer's strike.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can run a game from a book called a module, and that has the entire quest in it. So there's a bunch of third-party publishers that like write adventures and make content and publish books for 5th edition and Dungeons and Dragons, and the company was basically like, yeah, you all have to pay us money because fuck you guys. And the entire community on every social media platform and every way possible was like, fuck you, no,
we're
never,
out. Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
We'll go to a different type of game.
Yeah,
we will create our own type of game.
Pathfinder almost got
Pathfinder
almost got mainstream for a second.
So close.
Oh, they're still the Pepsi. But one of these days, Pathfinder. Sorry, Pathfinder fans.
Is Pathfinder like the
Pathfinder is like
D&D?
off-brand?
It's just as good as Dungeons and Dragons, and Paizo's a great company.
Wow.
Make sure you mark that time.
I need you to clip that out. So
we were gonna cut some stuff.
But yeah, the community, just threw up hands. We're like, "Fuck you, we're not gonna accept this."
Yeah.
And you watched in real time as Wizards of the Coast was like, "Okay, we're gonna try some new stuff. Okay, maybe we're gonna try this. What do you think about this?" And eventually
they're like, "No,
we
don't want that either."
And eventually at the end of it, they were like, okay, open game license forever in perpetuity forever. We're sorry. We're very sorry. Please don't be mad.
They did, huh?
They
were crashing and
bent the
burning.
Wow.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It was nerd fans shitting on the company that makes their stuff for good reasons.
Yes.
And
Right.
got a good outcome
Mhm.
instead of making George Lucas cry.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and you
It
know,
was
and-
inspiring.
it was very fucking cool.
Congratulations, I would
Yeah.
say.
Thank you.
and so I know we're not here to talk about anything else, but like I see magic on the screen there. But as far as like cost to get into it, cost prohibitiveness,
Yeah.
like D&D is way more affordable to get into. Like Magic, I got these guys coming in buying
Oh man.
$270 boxes
For sure.
Yeah.
of
sure.
shit that
Yeah.
that's nuts.
What's the Tyrone Biggums? You
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah.
hey man, you got any more?
Well, you know, and
you
what's,
got any more there?
Yeah, it's
from
an
a business
absolute addiction.
Yeah,
perspective,
it's that sticky.
Oh, yeah.
as they say.
Yeah.
I mean, from a business perspective, you know, dude, you've got to move so much product in order to keep a business open. Like the margins on Magic is about 20%, sometimes 30%. So you've got to move a lot of shit in order to. But there are
Mhm.
guys who do, and they know how to do it, and they do it well. I mean, there's a lot of shops. Fortuna Games is right down the street from us, and we will buy some stuff from them because one of our distributors, I'll call him like, "Hey man, I need the new Pokemon cards, new Magic cards to sell." And he's like, "Well, look at our orders and pick something out." I was like, "No, dude, just tell me what the new
For
stuff
sure,
is."
yeah.
And I always order the wrong shit all the time. So I have someone else buy it for me, and I
Yeah.
get it from them.
It's like
There you
ordering
go.
airplane parts. Like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
But so anyway, so that's one of the things I really appreciate about D&D.
Yeah, and
but,
you're seeing, I like the perspective because you see like so many customers like coming in for different varieties of things, and like you might hear them start asking questions about Magic or something else, and you're like, well, D&D is kind of the way, maybe, or maybe you're more of this kind of person. But
the one thing
you're seeing
we-
a mix, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, what we do is that I try to have a little bit of something for everybody, so when someone comes in, I can close the sale. But again, I try not to sell anything I don't understand because I'll only waste money on it. And also, there's a lot of really great shops out in the region that are doing things really great, and we're all doing it because we love it.
Mhm.
We're in no desire to put each other out of business. I mean, there's about 9 other shops in the region. We all do it a little bit differently. So like we've got to figure ways to work together to keep
Yep.
them all around because
Create an ecosystem.
yeah, because if I don't have to buy it, then I can send them over there and they can buy it over there, and then they'll send it back to me for something else. And
Right.
so it works out pretty
find
well.
some niches maybe. and,
Exactly.
you know, pass it back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, this is so fun, just so you know. I'm
Sure.
having the most fun. This is why I started this podcast,
Yeah.
was to really get into stuff I don't even know about. So thanks for appeasing a lot of us folks that don't know anything about D&D. I
For
really
sure.
just want to give you any Dungeons and Dragons person that showed up today, like, thank you. Like, what are we not saying about D&D that we should be saying?
Well, one thing I want to say real quick, just to hammer it home for everyone listening, is that on November 18th,
Yes.
Saturday at noon,
Let's
I'm
do
going
it.
to be running a D&D live show. So
Mhm.
this is an opportunity for people to buy tickets to come watch me run a one-shot adventure for local comedians.
Mhm.
My buddies Connor Branson, Tree Sanchez, and Elena Hutzing, who are comedians that work at the Improv Workshop and have done open mics and stand-up around town. They're very funny people, and we are putting on a show at City Winery, where it's a
City Winery STL.
City Winery
Whoop,
STL.
whoop.
Yeah, it's a lovely venue in the Foundry, which is just a kick-ass place to hang out. And they're letting us go up on stage and do a one-shot adventure that I've written. It's a train heist. But yeah, I'll be rolling dice, telling jokes, being funny and silly. There'll be action, there'll be comedy, and there will also be brunch.
And
There'll be a brunch bar available for perusal.
and on that, I'm working with a bar to create D&D themed cocktails.
Hell yeah.
That'll be
nice.
similarly named of like elixirs and potions from the game. So
All right.
Guys, this is
we
so
want
cool.
it to feel like you're a part of the D&D world.
For sure.
That's
Yeah.
it, right? Like, this is
Yeah.
kind of where it all culminates. It's like,
Yeah.
you want to, like, maybe this is like, now we're bringing in a live show component where, like, you can see and experience D&D in a way that is maybe a little less pressure than a
Absolutely.
Yeah.
full-on
Yeah.
participation.
Absolutely.
This ain't you're gonna see D&D and we're gonna give you a ham sandwich in a bag. It is we are giving you some good D&D.
This sounds like
drinks.
a great event, by
Yeah.
the way.
Actually,
Yeah.
let's do that next.
Ham sandwich in
Yeah.
a bag.
Yes.
City Winery, those
Apotheosis
they're
presents.
They're
Yeah.
friends of ours. They're friends of the show. They're really awesome. Beautiful venue. So cool to hear. Like, I mean, here's what's cool, right? Saw the Wild Feathers there. Amazing band. I just saw Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
Like,
crazy.
So congratulations, Sam and Martin, for like getting such a great venue and such a great spot in Midtown. Really excited. Tell us more about the event. Scotty Scoop's going.
Yeah. Well, I'm going too now. I'm gonna go.
All right. It's
Yeah.
going to be like, so
Appreciate that.
brunch show. Is this what can people expect? What are they going to experience?
Do you know these people?
No.
The players?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you know them.
Yeah. I actually did. This is this past year has been a great year for me. This is the second live show I've actually been able to do this year. The first one I did back in February at the St. Louis Art Museum. Big ups to Slam. I did a live show there. Got some pictures of it on my website. And we had a great turnout. It was a great time. Had everyone laughing, cheering, and booing, all that good stuff. And so the crew that I ran that show with, I'm doing this event with. And so if you buy your ticket, you come into City Winery. There's a brunch buffet laid out for you to peruse at your leisure all during the show. It's kind of like a dinner and theater kind of thing. And on stage is going to be myself and some incredibly talented local comedians who are playing fantasy adventures, running through a campaign. And if you are curious about D&D and don't understand it, if you have no idea what's going on, this is an absolutely casual, risk-free way for you to experience this game without having to sit down, make up a character, and roll dice on your own. People ask me, as a professional DM, people ask me all the time, how can I get into Dungeons & Dragons? And you can either buy a rule book and start reading. You can hire me or people like me to, swing by your place and run a game for you. Or you can just go watch people do it. The market on Twitch and with podcasts, a lot of people that hire me get interested in the game because they listen to podcasts or they watch people on Twitch playing this game and they want to get into it themselves. So if you want to get some exposure to D&D and you don't have any idea what, half-orc monk is, then you can just go to this show and watch us roll dice and tell jokes and, have a good time. It's
food, drinks, and laughs.
Absolutely.
Like that's the non-D&D person. Like you're going to have food, drinks, laugh, and like camaraderie at a cool spot.
Absolutely.
All right, now, D&D people.
They're
gonna have a blast, right?
Yes.
Like this is for Scott.
What really excites me is that they're comedians.
Yep.
And I would assume they're good at improv.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is
Elena, one of the players, teaches at the improv workshop here in town.
That is perfect.
Yeah.
For
that is the
an
exact
entertaining Dungeons and Dragons game.
D&D campaigner here. What other questions you got about this big event? You're going to be there. You're just excited to experience it for the first time. You've never been in anything like this.
I got some spoilers for you. You want some spoilers?
I don't know.
You want some behind the scenes spoilers?
We're very anti-spoiler.
Yeah, you mentioned a train. How was there a train in the D&D?
If you can give us behind the scene teases.
Dungeons and Dragons is anything you want it to be.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Wait a minute. We got like hidden surprises in store. Type thing?
Well, here's the thing. For one thing, there's going to be a huge audience participation element. So the crowd that shows up to this show will be able to directly impact the nature and direction of the adventure.
Oh, wow.
We will be actively asking for audience interaction to tell us at certain points what happens next or where we're going. Also, the audience will be able to provide inspiration to the players, which means they'll be able to, if the audience likes them,
you get a good pop.
Reroll failed checks and stuff like that. This is a train heist. An interesting thing about this adventure that I'm running is that I actually have submitted this to a publisher that I'd like to plug here, Space Penguin Inc. They're brand new. They just launched, I think, their first wave, and they're working on their second wave of
Are they here in St. Louis?
No. They're a third-party publisher. I forget where the main guy lives, but Space Penguin Inc. INK are some folks that I've submitted this to, and we're kind of working on maybe getting this thing published. So I might have a little module of my own. That is them.
That's great timing.
If you want a sneak peek of this module that might be getting published here soon, you can come onto the show and experience the glories of the Cobra Express, a train heist adventure.
Oh my gosh!
So I'm interested. anything can happen here, as with any game. What kind of runtime are we looking at?
So this is going to be going from noon to 2.
Okay.
So it's 2 hours, which is a pretty solid amount of time. We're going to do like an intermission in between so people can get up, stretch their legs and things like that. But honestly, when you're what I like to compare this to, for people that have no idea what to expect, this is improv theater kind of mixed with an action movie. You're watching a group of people like make a fantasy action adventure movie in real time as you're going. I don't know what the players are going to do. The players don't know what I have in store for them. So we all come to this not at all knowing how we're going to counter each other's moves or what we're going to do. And so that makes for really amazing and hilarious moments and hijinks and all that good stuff.
I'm picturing an action fantasy Who's Line.
Who's Line? Who's Line?
Yeah.
Oh, such a great show.
For sure.
Now, this train, is it a coal-fired train?
It
is
is.
it energy efficient?
It is a coal-fired train and it's not energy efficient.
All right. So are you thinking about the environment of this planet? Are you not? You just don't. Regulations.
No
haven't caught up?
sustainability.
No sustainability.
Here's the thing. I wish I had a say in it, but this fantasy realm that I've crafted from the ether has,
ample coal.
Heartless. It has heartless capitalists within it.
Okay.
Oh.
That are gonna just burn
yeah.
through the nature's resources with no care.
So
Also,
that's
I don't know.
troubling, but that'll be fine.
Still
I guess.
coal
It's
where
fine.
their hearts are.
Yeah.
All right, keep going. You got other questions. I know you do.
Yeah, I've got some, like, if you want to get deep.
Go ahead.
Getting back to the train here. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm curious.
Sure.
Sam the DM.
Mm-hmm.
When are you Sam the PC?
Oh God.
That is an incredible question, and I want to give you
what?
props. I know that you play this game now for sure because you had the Stones ask me that question.
It's
I'm
always a
shocked.
concern.
I don't
As a
know.
personal computer?
We've
Thank
got
you.
our dungeon master Andrew.
I know you care about
he
me now.
never gets to play.
This is therapy. This is therapy.
We have two things.
Yeah.
We have two people talking about two things. Two people that are like, what are they talking about?
Okay, so Sam is the DM, the
Yeah.
dungeon master.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Yes, we covered
A
this.
PC would be a player character.
So what your friend Scott here is asking me is, when
Does
do
he
I get to
ever
actually
get to
play?
play?
Oh,
Okay.
and you're a
Oh,
player,
I see.
and maybe you're just there, and
You're
playing
there
it.
for the adventure.
Yeah, when you get to play the game, you don't have to make up the entire fucking adventure completely and answer every question and run every bad guy. When you're a player, you make a character. You are that character in the world, and you just listen to what your DM tells you.
You need a
and make
DM. A
decisions.
PC needs a DM.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I do get to actually play this game.
Good.
On Sunday nights, my friend James runs a campaign for me and my friends. I am a Warforged artificer named Gunderson Slag.
Nice.
Say it
To
again.
answer your question,
Salute.
All right.
I'm a robot man that has cool tech powers, and my name is Gunderson
Oh.
Slag.
Gunderson Slag.
That is the character I play. He talks like this, and we run around a city called Gibson, which is a coal town, and I just got my first gun, so
All right.
going pretty good.
That's
So-
pretty good.
Excellent question, thank you.
Wow.
Another
Scotty.
question.
Yeah.
I could tell there was a reaction there.
How deep do you get into the characters that you create?
He's got a fucking voice. You hear that?
And you do. That's where I'm
Yeah.
going. Do you do the voices?
Oh yeah, funny voices is like the whole that's the whole thing. Not only because it helps with immersion on a baseline level, but it also gives the players an excuse to do stupid voices of their own.
Mm.
I run a lot of games for a lot of newbies, and it can be incredibly awkward and terrifying to be like, okay, I'm Bob the Fighter.
Right.
What does Bob the Fighter sound like? You're in this scene. What do you say to the goblin? I'm like, I don't fucking know. But if
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
the goblin approaches you and says, yeah, how much for these magic beads? Then they, now they can be like, well, I think it's $30.
Right.
You
Yeah.
give the players the excuse to, be dumb. So yeah, I've got half dozen terrible accents. There's shitty Russian bad guy.
Yes.
There's angry old lady. You just make shit up.
Yeah. They
And
just
you use what
they,
you got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They come out.
How long would you
And-
say it takes somebody to be comfortable to do a voice?
Well, I mean, if you're doing it right, then it just takes a couple sentences. If you are blessed, as I have been blessed several times with a player that will just get right into it, there's usually one at every table that the second we sit down, they're like, my name is Isaac, and I
Yes.
was born in the snow.
Yeah.
And then everyone else at the table is like, oh shit, we're just being dumb. Like it's all
the narcissist in me is like, I acted in college and
For
high
sure.
school. I acted.
Let me tell you
So
something.
is this like there's like a correlation of like acting, improv, comedy, and also like Dungeons and Dragons? But I don't want that to scare away. If you're like, I have to be an actor to play
No,
this
no, no.
game,
Yeah, you
absolutely
absolutely
not.
don't have to be that way.
So I could have sworn you were an actor. You had some kind of acting classes because how vibrant and energetic you got with your characters. I was like, this guy's a fucking theater major.
Now we're selling the
Not a-
show. Now we're
Yeah.
selling tickets to your show.
I
Yeah,
appreciate that. I've done. I look at Dungeons and Dragons as the confluence of every skill set I have and every interest I have. Because I've done some short films. I did plays in high school. I've played some music, written some songs, did a little dabbling in pretending I was in a band. I like.
What was the name of the band?
We were called No Outlet. We played a basement show and an open mic, and I think that's about it.
Were you
yeah.
acoustic?
No, actually.
Oh.
We didn't have any outlets in the first basement we practiced in, so that's why we called ourselves that.
All right, now you're talking to the dreamer over here.
Yeah.
So where does this all go then?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
where would you want to be if you were like, successful, big time, Sam the DM? Like, are you shooting the actual Dungeons
Yeah.
and Dragons movie? That's like all
Is,
the way
is there
improv?
like a championship, like a national championship?
What? Yeah, that's good. Like, what? That's a good
Yeah.
question. Like worldwide competition.
How- yeah, can you
like,
get-
This isn't a game, guys.
now
this
they're
is
making fun
not-
of us.
It's a
This is
fucking
not
lifestyle.
Monopoly.
Here's the thing. You
Winning is not the ultimate goal here.
Oh,
Tell 'em.
He's clapping.
Tell them how it is.
Oh,
That's
my
what that's the
God.
D&D people.
So
Yeah.
your job is not to win the game. Your job is to exist and succeed
So it is like
in,
real life.
in this world.
Your job
has
is
been
to
created.
Your job is to see the story to the end.
Yes.
Whatever that means in whatever context you're playing in.
And
What a
the
great
DM
lesson.
is not just telling the
Yeah.
story. You are a part of this story.
As a player.
That,
yes.
as a player, that you're helping him weave
I'm getting goosebumps.
into creation.
So that's a very interesting question because that's something I've been thinking about lately. This is all completely new to me. Doing live shows and being hired by folks to run private games and all this stuff has been it's been a glorious thing on the rise. I have no idea what the top of this looks like. I don't know. There are famous dungeon masters these days,
the
like
Matt Mercer's and
Matt Mercer's,
Brennan Lee
Brennan
Mulligan, and
there are people who are famous and wealthy, not Tom Cruise famous, but famous and wealthy for running Dungeons and Dragons, and a lot of that comes from building a fan base, making content people like, and getting out there. I'm focusing less on online content creation and more on kind of a
grassroots
yeah,
kind of
well,
like
well, just like blue collar service shit. I want to,
working with. Well, you know what that is? It's working with people.
Yeah. My whole business model is I pack up my stuff and I come to you and I help you and your friends actually play the game. You don't
It's a
have
solution.
to watch it. Yeah,
You're being a solution.
you don't have to watch it on a
You're
screen.
a capitalist. You will.
But yeah, so what does the top of this look like? I don't know. Maybe getting to do more live shows more regularly, like having a residency at a place like City Winery to be able to do this more often. Working with, I actually had a conversation with some folks at a local school that I can't divulge yet, but to do like after school programs for kids and making some spare cash doing that. I think for me personally, the biggest victory in all this, the highest echelon I could get to, is just getting to a point where I don't have to have a day job as well as doing this on the side.
that's it.
If I could pay my
Yeah, hell
bills
yeah.
with only Dungeons and Dragons, that's all I
That's
want.
the dream.
And,
That's it, so.
and you're not alone, right? This is like happening. The creator space is big as it can be, and the nerdism is monetizing e-commerce that just exists all
Sure.
around us for all things. And it's the most futuristic technology America that you could have imagined. Okay?
Absolutely.
It's
Mhm.
open market, and what I'm really realizing is that I really do believe that every one of us have the art in us, the creative itch that
Sure.
needs scratched, that if you don't scratch it, it's not good for you. It's not
Yeah.
healthy. And even people that have the full-time job, I worked at the factory for the last 30 years, even they you don't know what they're into.
Sure.
You don't
Oh,
know,
sure.
you don't even, like, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Nowadays it's becoming like, well, maybe I have the opportunity to treat my fun things like a serious business. And I think as you go further, right, how polished do you have to make it each time you evolve a little bit? It becomes more than just you were playing this 20 years ago when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Now you look at it with these eyes of like, I want it to still be fun and fulfilling, and it might help me eat.
Yeah, that's the only hitch with trying to pursue this as a job is that sometimes you have to play D&D when you don't want to play D&D.
Yeah.
That's the job of it, right? Is
too much of a good thing.
You get booked for a gig, you do the gig. Maybe I woke up late, maybe I didn't have enough coffee, maybe I'm not really feeling it, but you go do the gig, and that's the part where it becomes work. And so far right now, I haven't gotten burnt out yet, and it's still fun. And like just interacting with people, watching a room full of awkward, nerdy, middle-aged people become improv comedians in real time, watching them make these personalities out of the ether, watching them forge these inside jokes that no one else in their entire life is going to get, but they'll be able to reference because this one night they crafted this narrative together, is some of the most beautiful shit that I get to be privy to as a dungeon master. And as long as I get to keep doing that, it doesn't really matter where it goes.
Oh, man, I want to clap, but I'm going to still say Saturday, November 18th. You can get your tickets right now. City Winery's website, Apotheosis Comics website, linked up anywhere else that people should know about. And let's
Twitter, Instagram, Threads, stories,
yes,
billboards.
Martin, talk to us about Apotheosis involvement. This is presented by you guys. This is where it makes perfect sense. You were doing events there. You're going to do a cocktail for the night. Anything else in store? It sounds like you're going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, so City Winery called me up and asked if we wanted to do something there, and the only guy I could think of who could pull this off was Sam. So I immediately put them in touch with him, and we've kind of built this really great little piece of the St. Louis entertainment bubble where like people are known for us we're a family-friendly, nerdy beer spot where you can come hang out. So we get a lot of phone calls, we get a lot of requests to do stuff like this. But, for this thing, like Sam's the only guy that can pull this off. So we're really excited. I'm excited for people to see him play and do what he does best because, it's a beautiful thing to see when someone does something they are clearly so good at.
Well, that's very kind. I appreciate it.
Well, we'll do final plugs and wrap up. But Scotty, I got to ask, you got anything else?
Just a couple of things.
What's up? That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Just some really quick rapid fire. How many sets of dice do you think you own?
Well, here's the thing. My good friend Parker, who plays the half-orc druid Zuraback on the show Challenge Rating Zero, available wherever you find podcasts. Parker used to own a game shop called Game Haven in the county, and it unfortunately had to close. But what he did is gave me all the dice in the fucking store, so I literally can't answer that question.
Oh my God.
I will tell you this: I have giant boxes full of dice. I have enough portioned out that I can supply dice to as many as 30 players for one large event at a time. So a shit ton.
Wow.
Is the answer to that question.
Jealous.
Hey, can I buy a box of you? By the way? Okay, because I do need some of the shop.
When you're running one shots, do you prefer something that you've created, or do you just grab a book off the shelf run it?
I'm almost entirely homebrew.
Okay.
I make up my own plots, my own stuff. A big part of my style and my taste is just improv, and so I like to be able to control the throttle and the brake. If shit's going too hard for the players, I can back off. If it's too easy, I can go a little harder. I can cut from one scene to another really quickly if we're spending too much time here but need to get to the end of the story. So I very rarely run modules. There was a year, I think last year, I was running 2 games at the shop at the same time. Those were both modules. With those 2 games and the one at and my podcast game, I was running 3 games at once for an entire calendar year. 3 games a week all at once. 2 of those had to be modules or else I couldn't keep up. So I when I'm doing one shots, it's almost always the stuff I wrote myself.
Sure. How do you deal with murder hobos?
That's an incredibly good question. That depends on how old they are.
Okay.
If they're kids, I let them kill whatever they want because it doesn't fucking matter.
All right.
And I clap and tell them how good a job they did killing everything. And as long as they don't try to kill the other people around, doesn't matter. I kill and burn some of the kids we got at the comic shop. This is some of the rowdiest shit you've ever heard. Quick anecdote. ran a one-shot. The whole thing was a unicorn lost its horn, and you have to go in a cave and find the unicorn's horn and bring it back. They get the horn, put it back on the unicorn. The unicorn's like, oh, brave adventurers will grant you each one wish. I'm looking at 9, 10, 12-year-olds, whatever. One of the kids is like, I want to make a house for the unicorn and come back and visit it and live with it forever. Great. One kid's like, I want the unicorn to burn into ash and die. Ash and die. And he just said it, ash, and I want it to burn to ash and die over and over again. So it's like, yeah, it burns to ash and it dies in front of you.
We got it.
And then it comes right back and it's alive again like a phoenix. Who else has a wish? You just indulge them. If it's a grown-up and they're a murder hobo, I pride myself in that I've never had to kick someone from a table in all my years of playing this game. I've come close, but I've never had to kick someone from a table. Murder hobos, I find, mostly want combat, and luckily I'm very, very good at constructing elaborate, large-scale combat encounters. So any murder hobo at my table, they're going to get as much violence as they fucking want.
Okay.
That's just, you just feed them. You feed them until they're stuffed.
Am I correct to assume a murder hobo is somebody who just wants to cause chaos?
That is exactly.
Okay,
a murder hobo wants to kill everything in front of them.
Aha.
Because there's no real world consequences.
NPCs,
Oh, that's the
PCs,
worst.
it's just conflict.
It's the kind of thing where, like, you arrive in the town of Windhaven, and the shopkeeper says, "Oh, hello, adventurers! I've got new stock in." And then one of your characters is like, "I fucking kill that guy
and take his stock
because they're an edgelord and they don't want to like engage with the internal consistency of the narrative. They just want to kill everything."
Well, but
around
they
them.
got to roll a hide of die to make it happen.
That is true, but then you get people that know the game well enough. It's like, I probably got a pretty good chance. But
Yeah.
it's.
You ever get a murder hobo that pulls like a Dexter and works in Miami PD for 10 years and no one really knows he's
My brother played a character like that once. It was not fun. What else you got?
Yeah.
Have you ever brought in the deck of many things?
Often as I can.
Really?
The deck of many things is a powerful magic item. It's a deck of cards. When you draw one of the cards, a thing happens, like your soul gets ripped out, or you get $1 million, or a demon wants to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a tarot deck with magical powers. I use that often, actually, in my podcast, Challenge Rating 0, available wherever you find podcasts.
Great plug.
They I use the deck of many things in like the middle of that campaign. Minor spoilers, nothing crazy, but there's a character that draws tarot cards, gives them each a tarot card reading, and I actually drew cards from the deck and applied those to the narrative as we went on down the line. So I use the deck of many things as often as I can. It's one of my favorite magic items. It's great for storytelling. It's great for chaos. Don't do it at level 1. Don't do it at level 1.
No.
But yeah,
Could end a game very quickly.
Absolutely. What else you got?
How many people do you get that come to your table and say, I would like to be a dark elf fighter, dual wielding scimitars?
I will say
dual wielding centaurs?
Scimitars.
Scimitars.
What's a scimitar?
Curved
This is-
Arabian swords.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is a
Two of
specific
them.
Dungeons and Dragons character.
Sounds awesome.
The thing about being really into D&D is you get kind of like a minor in medieval weaponry and combat tactics, which is fucking crazy. Like I know what a Flamberg is. Anyway, I don't get that, surprisingly. Dritz Do'Urden, a famous character in D&D novels written by R.A. Salvatore, has not showed up. What I do get is people want to be 11. They want to be a psychic girl in a robe and kill people with their brains. I get people that want to be. I've got an Avatar: The Last Airbender. People want to be,
How do I create this character that I love in your setting?
Fortnite.
I get references to other stuff like that. Like people want to be Darth Vader, or they want to be Goku, shit like that. But never Dritz Do'Urden. That's a very good question.
And to bounce off that, how often have you been asked to run the Stranger Things campaign or one shot?
Never
or
once.
Or the Rick and Morty
You will now.
Dungeons and
You will now.
Dragons.
You will now.
Never once.
Okay.
Never once.
No Rick and Morty.
No one's ever asked for that. My market demo is mostly people that have never played this game before.
Right.
Okay.
And so the concept of someone like, oh, I bought a module, will you run it for us? Does not happen.
Yeah,
But don't
so
you-
I was
are you
curious.
hearing
Like,
what-
oh,
are you
I
hearing what's
saw-
happening though? You're opening in a new market.
Yeah, maybe.
I've
maybe.
got the Dungeons and Dragons Rick and Morty crossover.
Yeah.
My wife bought that for me for Christmas.
Yeah, it's crossing
Bring it
over
by
with
the shop,
everything.
baby. Let's
How
do
would,
it.
yeah, I would say, how do you tell them
And-
how you would
and
want to plug
I'm
in?
not-
Like, do you go to Apotheosis? Like, how do you work with Sam? Like,
Well, like I'm not I'm not a dungeon master. It's
But you have a
aspirational.
campaign. Oh.
Aspirational.
You looking for a
There you go.
mentor?
You
Are
know,
you looking for
like-
a mentee, I mean?
I would love to be able to
Oh.
do that.
The best way to start is just to fucking start, man.
He's got tickets.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be terrible, and you're gonna fuck up, and then you'll eventually stop fucking up so much, and eventually you may even be okay.
All right.
And I'm
It's like real life again.
Yes.
I'm okay. I keep convincing people to pay me to do this shit, so I guess I'm doing all right. But you know, they're
I can get some Rick and Morty pickle juice for that game.
Pickle Rick.
Pickle Rick, we will get that and we will play.
Oh, jeez, Rick.
So actually, if I could put another promo out, so we
Please.
are this
it's,
year.
It's the time for plugs.
Yeah, so every year, in fact, we started doing this fucking many moons ago with this guy. Every third Wednesday in St. Louis is Skanksgiving. We do a thing. That's actually the official word. Isn't that
Is it
crazy? Like,
really?
we've really got to change that
Like
word.
Thanksgiving Eve?
That's what it's supposed to be called, but it's in St. Louis, it's
Yes, it's
Skanksgiving.
Martin,
Martin, I've
Thanksgiving.
lived
Oh
in
my
this
God.
town my entire life. I've never heard Skanksgiving.
Are you
Wow.
serious?
Are you corroborating this right now?
I am cooperating.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not yet.
All right.
Google
I've
Skanksgiving.
Google
Google
Yeah,
Skanksgiving.
Google it right
I've
now.
Yeah.
never
Skanksgiving.
You're
heard
going to get me in
shit.
trouble.
Yeah,
You're gonna
the
instantly be
tradition-
put on a
Checks my
list.
Yeah.
history.
The tradition in St. Louis is skank is K-A-N-K. Is
Never typed
it's
it before.
Guns and Hoses, which is the
There you go.
firefighters. There we go.
I used to go to Guns N' Hoses every year.
It was great.
My
STD
ex-wife's
testing
father was
facility?
a police officer who fought one
Oh,
year.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to go there every year with the politicians.
Oh,
we
it's
go
the
and that's
busiest
like
bar
our thing.
night of the year.
It
I
is.
did know it was the busiest bar
Yes.
night. I didn't know it was
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
I mean,
So-
we called it like Thanksgiving Eve. Like you always.
That's what we should call it.
It's a lot more-
Just learned something.
There you go. RFT in the front.
I just learned
Having problems
something.
right now,
Of
that's
course,
all right.
RFT published it.
Oh,
Yeah.
and there you go. There's the.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
That-
jeez.
that is what happens.
You guys are gonna get me in trouble. This is usually
That's
Yeah.
usually pretty
that's
wholesome.
That's just
Yeah.
Britney Spears. It's
So we started a thing called Drinks and Dragons, where we get it's a sponsored event where you get 2 beers. The campaign is centered around the name of the beer. So like one year it was Imperial Warhammer, and so everyone had to have Warhammers during the game. This year it's Schlafly's doing it, and I got to get the name. We'll have it finalized tomorrow. So
Perfect.
the night before Thanksgiving, Drinks and Dragons, the shop. It's going to be a hoot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to plug at Apotheosis? Like, let's talk to the everydayers. Like, what are they looking for?
comic
You're-
book fans.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a lifetime comic book fan right
God
here. So
bless
you
ya.
guys can
God bless
you
ya.
guys can talk about it. Like, what are your daily deals? You got days that people need to be coming. It's every day.
Well, yeah, I
What-
mean, Wednesday's the big day. That's
Wednesday's
when the
the
new
busy
stuff
day,
comes
I'm
out.
sure.
Okay,
yeah.
Wednesday's the day. You already know that. All right, where can people find you online?
Shopapotheosis.com. And actually, it's funny is don't go, well, when they see this, I'll have it fixed. But so as a small business owner, one of the many joys is that we have to do fucking everything. And so when you went to the main screen there, I noticed that I still had the image slide logo up on that look at that. Oh, fuck.
That's
So-
a real life website.
That's a real life website. Yeah.
I mean, we understand. Like you said, you're running this. Like, I need a whole episode with you, Martin. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
This wasn't the one. This was D&D focused. But
Sure.
I gotta ask, like, what is it about it for you? I think you've already kind of answered it. You wanted a spot to do all your favorite things,
Yeah.
and to connect with real people that come in that don't have to feel like you're just talking to some guy that's pushing you out the door. You
Yeah.
and your staff are taking care of people. Come for your
Yeah.
fix. You guys have a wonderful location on Grand.
Yeah.
And-
When people talk about us, you walk in there, it's friendly. You get to have a conversation with somebody. We'll help you find. We go above and beyond. That's kind of what the name of our business is.
Apotheosis Comics on Instagram.
It's a bar where you can buy fucking comic books. Go to there.
Yeah.
Apotheosis Comics
And-
on South Grand. Go to the store.
We've
And-
talked
Go to
about
the
recording
store.
there.
Yeah, and we just put in new game monitors on the bar, so every seat has got a monitor with an emulator on it to play whatever you want.
Wow.
There's some crazy shit on those emulators.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah,
Do you read everything?
yeah.
Because if I worked in a comic book store, I don't know how I would get anything done.
So it's important because my goal for every employee when they come into work, they have to find 5 books to sell that day. So it's
Okay.
either they've got to read the description, go through it, summarize, and be able to sell it. And but yeah, because the new comics that come out every Wednesday, if we don't sell them within that first week, they go in the back issues and we don't sell them forever. So we got to figure
Yeah.
out some kind of tactic. So what I try to do is I try to quickly read through everything. I've been doing it for a long time, so I know kind of how to get the gist of it. So,
yeah. And I want to dig deeper? Maybe not.
Yeah, exactly. So it's you just got to know enough to know what's going on. The stuff that does pull out from you will stick with it. I remember when I was like, man, this is gonna be so great because I have a comic book store. I'm not gonna need to buy comics anymore. I fucking buy all of them.
Oh yeah,
all
you gotta
time,
get
my collection's crazy.
We got 25 of this one, so we got the special cover.
Yeah,
I'm gonna need that.
And you do a great job on your socials, keeping us all up to date. Thanks,
man.
Help me out with the hours. What are hours?
So right now we're closed on Monday and Tuesday, so we can just do paperwork also, so I can have some kind of time off.
Yes.
And then we're open from about 11 to 8 o'clock Wednesday through Friday, and then Saturday we have our comedy show, and we stay open until 10.
Nice.
And then Sunday we're open until 5 or 6. I've started taking more time in the last couple months of really doing more like mental health stuff for me, of like, you'll notice there's a sign on my Instagram there of like closed to go see Metallica. Like we do a thing where I started realizing, especially the last couple months, that we've been in business for 6 years, so I've started thinking about how much longer do I want to do this, and I've been spending a lot of time talking to other comic shop owners. And then when I was in Europe, I went to talk to some guys in Amsterdam and Paris, and like what they talked, and it's all kind of the same thing: is that eventually they run out of gas, but they've got nowhere to go because the margin's so tight. You got a lot of guys who are just kind of burned out of the business. They don't like talk about it. And I was going to say this to Sam earlier, was that, when you create a job that's your passion, you got to be very careful that you don't lose it, because then if you lose that passion, man, then what do you got for it?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times where it's just the straight up business aspect of it that kind of grinds you down the most, where you got to like do the returns, you got to order, you're missing orders, you got to make sure the bills are paid, you got to pay staff, electrical, rent, all taxes all the fucking time. So I've been trying to work more balanced, especially because I have one 13-year-old daughter. She's gonna be in high school next year and gone in 5 years. And
what are 3 ways people can help you out with money?
Buy shit in the store and give it to me.
That's the number one.
Yeah.
Online stuff.
So actually,
come get your orders.
Yes. So that's
obviously
actually
pull and hold. You've got some pull and holds.
Yes. So
you have to get your pulls. If you
that's
ask a comic book store to pull comics for you, you have to come back into the fucking store and get your pulls. I don't work at Apotheosis. I don't give a shit about Martin's whole business.
Yes.
But come get your pulls.
Yeah, no, it is. It's heartbreaking.
Hype Man's back.
Yeah. Can you come in tomorrow?
All right. All right. Apotheosis Comics, man. So good to be in here.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Let's do it again here and there.
For sure. Yes. Definitely there. Yeah.
Sam, the DM, it's time. Plug yourself, my friend. Where do people find you? What do you got going on? Where can people reach you?
I am Sam the DM of samthedm.com. You can go to my website, samthedm.com, to find all about how to hire me to run a D&D game of your very own for you and your friends. I am available for private parties. I can run a game for you in your living room, at the hotel if you're in town for a little bit, for any occasion. There's testimonials on my website, as well as links to my podcast, Challenge Rating 0, which you can find on any podcast platform. And November 18th, Saturday, November 18th at noon, come see Bubbles and Bards. It is a live D&D event, live on stage with local comedians playing a Dungeons & Dragons adventure. You can have brunch and watch a show at the same time. You can't ask for more than that. Oh, also real quick, because I got this finalized the other day and I haven't told enough people about it. I'm going to be on fucking TV.
Yeah.
So let's see. They moved that up.
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm gonna be let's see.
We're working on another opportunity.
All right. Is it a tease?
We just got the email right when we were on the thing, so we'll have to do it later.
Okay. That's a tease.
It's a tease. We got something else in the works for you, Sam. You're gonna love it though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, can I talk about my thing, or is this a different thing?
It's your thing. Go talk your thing.
Okay. Oh, hold on.
Unless did I fuck it up?
We did just get an email.
See?
It's a new email. This is like
breaking news.
Never mind.
Never mind.
What I meant
that
to
was
say
thing.
is never mind.
Do you want to plug anything on your Instagram? I have it pulled up.
No, I mean, you can follow me on Sam the DM Kemp on Instagram and on Facebook. You can follow Challenge Rating 0 on Instagram and Facebook. If you go to samthedm.com, all my links to all my shits are there.
Where else do D&D people hang? Do they hang on like Discord or Twitch? Are you doing
Roll20?
Roll20?
They are. I mean, I'm not there.
Not yet.
Yeah. There are plenty of. I will say this for the last thing if we're closing out
Yeah,
here.
we're closing
If
out.
you are interested in getting into Dungeons and Dragons, if you have some money to scratch together, you can buy a player's handbook. That's all you need. You get scratch paper and maybe a set of plastic dice, or just use fucking Google. You can play this game with your friends fucking tomorrow. Get a book, read it, figure out the rules. If you don't want to do that, you can hire a dungeon master like me to come run a game for you. But there are a lot of free tools on the internet that you can take that you can use to get a game going for you and your friends. I want everyone possible to play this game. If you don't have any fucking money to play this game, you can go to dndbeyond.com. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, shape, or form, but they have free rule sets, free toolkits for you to make a character, get the basic rules of the game, and run shit for yourselves. If you're interested in this game, just start playing it. Just start playing it. It's the best thing you'll ever do.
I did, and I love it.
I would say you were a newbie. You had fun. It's turned into a whole thing. From an outsider looking in, you guys got. I mean, I did get goosebumps at least once today. So there's something here.
Well, it'd be nice if it was twice because there's two of us here, but I understand.
Not everyone has my skill for sweeping oratory.
Yeah.
All right, Scotty Scoop. Did you get your D&D fix finally?
I did.
After years?
I need more.
You need more.
Oh.
We'll talk. What does more look like for you?
I want to warn anyone that plays D&D with this guy. Beware the Tarrasque. I saw it. You pulled up the Instagram. I saw it.
Was that
Look
that
out,
giant
folks.
lizard
Yes. My very, very cool and very awesome older brother recently purchased for me the official Icons of the Realms Tarrasque.
This is a game wrecker right here,
This
folks.
is the Godzilla of the Dungeons and Dragons world. This is the most powerful, mightiest monster in all of D&D. There's a book called
that's your table.
Yeah. There's
This is very large.
This miniature is the size of my cat. It is this big standing off the table, and it has the beefiest stats, the most crazy strength. This thing will tear apart entire kingdoms before your players can take it down. You can't fight this thing until you're level 20, and I will bust this shit out on anyone that pisses me off. So thank you for that.
Well, this is awesome because we got the visual here. When you're watching us on video, we'll definitely shout out some of your fans so you can tell them on Instagram they got shouted out in this podcast. You got Val Sun Bear saying, yo, Siasha.Victoria. This is so badass. We got Chonk Family Band. That's awesome.
Isn't it the fucking worst about doing stuff on Instagram is you got to use those names of people? Like,
we
were trying to do something.
So hard to read
I was trying to do like Whatnot a couple years ago, months ago, but it felt like fucking years ago. But I got so tired of being like, all right, Chumpy Nuts 52. Yeah, man, I'll get back to you. And then, okay, Beetle Bailey Butts.
We got
Fat Blumpkin 43.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, fans around the world, thank you for tuning in. We got folks tuning in from over 60 countries. We're 100 episodes strong. We're ubiquitous online, and I mean, I kind of want to start putting us on vinyls and cassette tapes. So, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Non-D&D fans and Dungeons and Dragons fans and fellow nerds, thank you for coming here.
Thanks for having us.
I think we did it right. I mean,
we did.
Give them that due diligence. Saturday, November 18th. Sam the DM.
Yep.
Martin Casas, Scotty Scoop back again. This is your host, Logan, and we can't wait to see you next time. Stay tuned for a couple more big episodes before the end of the year of Mostly Superheroes. And take it easy.
Peace out.